Thank you very much. Great to be here opening the project updates. My name is Lorenzo Fernández, working at Linde, and with me today is Keshni Sritharan from OCI.
Hi, good to meet you, everyone. Thank you.
Hi. So for those of you not knowing Linde, we are the largest industrial gas company in the world. We operate around 150 SMRs, PSAs, ATRs, and have installed over 80 electrolyzers. So hydrogen is not new for us. It's actually a $3 billion business. But let's focus on the project we came to talk here today. So it's basically the first large-scale greenfield low-carbon ammonia project to be coming on stream, a very large title. And it's a very exciting project that we went to FID late 2022 together, OCI and Linde. Keshni will focus in a second around the upper part, the OCI section, and I will start for the next 5 minutes or so on the Linde section on the bottom part. So it's a project where we're investing close to $2 billion, so a bit under $2 billion. And that we have already under construction, as you can see. So that's showing the Linde plot. Keshni will show in a second, like the OCI. Linde, we are building the hydrogen part, the nitrogen part, and also the CO2 sequestration. And as you can see, we're well on target on the construction. This is the plot, and a lot of it is coming in modules. That's why you don't see lots of construction there. It will be coming on target for commissioning late 25, early 26. But let me tell you how we got there. And as you know, these multi-billion-dollar projects, they don't just fall together overnight. So I think if I could summarize it, the starting piece was relationship. As always, it matters. I think at this site, our relationship dates from 2012, and it took some years, different projects to develop to what it is today. And I will explain you a bit the scope. So we are producing, as I was saying, low-carbon hydrogen and nitrogen. It's low-carbon because we are sequestrating 95% of Scope 1 emissions. So that's up to 2.2 million tons per annum. So that's equivalent to Portos. So just that you have a reference, it's very large scale. OCI, with the low-carbon hydrogen and nitrogen, they're going to produce 1.1 million metric tons per year of ammonia. So be it for existing markets like fertilizers or ammonia, chemical, or for new markets, shipping, you explain afterwards. And we are also partnering with ExxonMobil to transport and permanently sequester that CO2 underground. What did lead us here? What were key enablers when we were reflecting on what to tell you? And maybe many of these things you will know, but trying to give you some insights. So first, I think it's off-taker. It's what we all look for, right? It's what you need for a project. So here, credit to OCI. They had the vision to be a first mover in the low-carbon ammonia. Without that, without an off-take, we wouldn't be here talking today. Second, policy support, something that all of us, we also ask a lot. Here it's IRA, so with the 45Q, and supporting the project. Third, it's something I'm going to pause here for a second. Partnering with the best is something that in Linde's philosophy of these large-scale projects is pretty important, and that is that you choose the best partners and each for their scope that they do. And I'm going to give you an example of what we mean with each stays in their lanes. So for example, we handle CO2 since decades, but we are not going to get into CO2 subsurface sequestration. To that, we went to Exxon, who are probably one of the only ones, or the very few ones, who can pull this together in the very short time frame to sequester that CO2. And I think that's key. And same as OCI, I think in one of your press releases, you were saying partnering with Linde, an industry and technology leader, to maximize execution, reliability, and performance. Fourth point, which I think was key here for OCI to take an investment decision, is that we at Linde, that we invest in the plan. Actually, from the whole facility, we have over 50%, so we have the largest share of the CapEx investment. And I think for OCI, wanting to produce ammonia, having someone who invests the biggest chunk of the CapEx, it did help to do a commitment, to do an FID. It de-risked OCI's project. So that was something important. And now let's move on some more, being here at the hydrogen technical insights, to some more technical details that we haven't disclosed before around this project. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is around reliability. For OCI and for us, it's paramount to have a reliable project. It's a very large-scale project, so we ran different scenarios. We decided to go two-train with it. So each of them, it's already like big world-scale ATRs. Yeah, so running different scenarios and considering what OCI needed to produce, it was the best approach. And maybe to go also a bit some in the detail, is not just you need to produce hydrogen. With policy support, you need to produce also tax credits, so CO2 sequestration. So that was also a reason in the whole scenarios to go for a two-train concept. And even to increase reliability above that, we are integrating the plant with our hydrogen infrastructure that we have in the Gulf Coast and storage cavern. So we have over 20 large-scale production assets. They're all connected, like a 600-kilometer pipeline. So whatever it happens, you always have the pipeline to back up in whatever direction. I think it's a key benefit that we can bring from our experience. Discussing with colleagues, so it's not just that you buy an ATR, an ICE ATR, and the sequestration to produce clean hydrogen. You buy also a system, the whole reliability that a system of many different production units gives you, same as we have other pipelines in Europe and in other places around the world. Second point, technology selection. So how did we base ourselves to choose the technology? So this is a very large scale, as we're constantly repeating, project. So it was not a technology demonstration. We base ourselves on proven technology, so commercially available, that we know, that we have operated. That's why, for example, we're installing an ATR from Topsoe, same as the one we operate just a few miles away, which we know how it operates, and we are confident that we invest a few billions, both of us, and it will work as we expect. Yeah. And just to highlight on that, it's not only the technology thing for us, for Linde and for OCI, it was key that we have the Linde Engineering Technology arm, which I think I did introduce. So out of 65,000 employees in Linde, 10,000 employees, they are the engineering, with many of them as engineers there, and we have technology, our own technology, we have our execution capabilities, and we also license with the best to optimize every project, as we're doing here with Topsoe, as I said. Linde Engineering has experience in carrying out multi-billion-dollar projects in hydrogen space, also in the natural gas space, LNG, and that helps a lot on how to create the execution model for such a project. And this brings me to my last point around execution. So it's a very constrained area regarding projects. You have a lot of LNG projects going on in the Gulf Coast. So there's not enough skilled workforce. As we said, remember, for OCI, it was critical time to market. So to get the ammonia there, be a first mover. So you need to be really on spot on the schedule. And you also need to, inside this such large-scale projects, you need to look very closely to your cost and to your quality. So that's why we went to a modularization approach, so it's large modules, to meet all of the items I mentioned below, and again, to de-risk the execution and make sure we meet it. And here at the bottom, it's just an example of a Rotterdam blue hydrogen modules that we shipped short ago to Shell for CCS. Just some example of dozens of modules that we built all across the globe. So I hope I give you some insights, and I can just say that if you're going for large-scale projects, that you take a partner that you can trust. We at Linde would be more than happy to help you there. And thank you. Now over to you, Keshni.
Thank you, Lorenzo. For those of you that don't know OCI is a leading ammonia, nitrogen fertilizer, and methanol producer. We've got assets in Europe and the US. So this is our clean ammonia large-scale facility that's expected to come online in the first half of 2025. We're partnering with Linde. It's 1.1 million tons. And we are an early mover in this space. As he said, we took FID on this plant at the end of 2022 when ammonia prices were $1,000. And we have the advantage of signing some of our lump sum contracts, our engineering contracts as lump sum early on before the CapEx inflation and the labor shortages that we're seeing now. So we had some advantage there. We're spending about $1 billion on this project. Linde is spending 1.8, and so that takes the total project cost to about 2.8 billion. But that includes sort of oversizing to some extent on the ATR from Linde's side, and then on our side as well. We've built this first line with sort of some of the OSBL already doubled for the second line. We've got the land for the second line, and also all the logistics that you'll see here, which is 2 ammonia tanks, a new jetty, all of that is being oversized for a second line as well. And we can do this at a lower capex because we moved early. That's one advantage, but also the other advantage is we're building this plant adjacent to our existing ammonia and methanol plant that we have already in Beaumont. And then opposite, we also have our methanol facility. So we have some advantages with shared services and utilities that also help with the costs and execution timeline. The plant is expected to have a CI score of under sort of 0.5 kilograms of CO2, which is very competitive going into certain markets. We are the only plant that's taken FID, but will also be based on current timeline and consultant estimates, at least 3 to 4 years ahead of some of the other plants in the US. So I think it remains to be seen whether this was a good thing or a bad thing, but time will tell. We're very confident in the execution of this project, just given the partners that we've chosen. And you can see that here. So the project is real. We're deep in construction right now. We've got steel structures being erected. Engineering is pretty much complete, and long lead items are already arriving on site. And at the same time, we have tanks and jetties all being constructed. So the plant comes online in the first half of 2025, but it's only going to be low carbon from the second half of 2026, and that's when Exxon gets its CCS permit. So there is that delay there, but we think this works well in line with sort of low carbon market demand that we see in new markets. This page here shows you the carbon intensity of our clean ammonia plant, but really what we're trying to say here is that greenfield blue ammonia plants are significantly cheaper than a greenfield gray ammonia plant. And it's at least, if you look at what we're spending on this plant, I said 2.8 billion, including some oversizing. An equivalent green ammonia plant is about 8.5 billion, and that's what's been publicly announced. So we're able to do this at 3 times lower the cost. We still think green is the transition pathway, but while this technology has already been proven and you can achieve a significantly low carbon intensity, we think this is the immediate path forward. And then we have the hydrogen network, as mentioned, and we can take in green hydrogen as it becomes available in sort of a capex light, low risk way. We also think that doing the ATR and the ASU is significantly more efficient than standard SMR and CCS, because post-combustion still hasn't been proven at scale. There are risks associated with it and high operating costs. And that's some of the reasons why we've gone with this technology and this approach. So where is the offtake? What are the benefits of this product? We think we have comparative costs to a typical gray ammonia exporter. That's partly down to 2 things. One is lower fixed costs, but because this is only a syn loop only plant, you've only got the back end of the ammonia plant. You don't need the front end because you're taking in over the fence hydrogen and nitrogen, so that lowers your fixed costs. We also think we have an advantage going into markets like Europe, where you will have a carbon border adjustment mechanism that sets the sort of value for CO2. And our blue ammonia on that basis has a CI score of almost 0 because it's calculated on a scope 1+2 basis. So that's another advantage that we have on a cost basis. And then the 45Q. The costs aren't equivalent to gray, but it's not as high as green. And that's sort of, there is an appetite for that with regulation coming into play in places like Europe. And then we also see ourselves selling some of this product into Asia. We're in advanced negotiations there for some of the co-firing applications that are coming into play, where you sell the product similar to how the LNG model developed, which is a cost-plus approach that helps you have sort of manage your risk, bankable offtake, and that's what helps us sort of see returns on this project. We also think we have upside from the marine sector. We're starting to see interest there pick up. The ammonia engine development has been going really well, and we think that sector is also going to pick up from 2027. And so this puts us in a good position to capture that demand as an early mover. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can press one?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think we didn't leave much time for questions, but we're more than happy to welcome you at our booth here at C52. Thank you very much.
Thank you.